Hello once again. Welcome to the last day of March 2021. Wednesday, March the 31st. And this is video number 310. How's everybody? Hope everyone enjoyed yesterday's video. Hope everyone's enjoying their Holy Week so far. We're in the middle of the week so far. Today we're going to be talking about other preachers. And we're going to be starting with Philippians chapter 1, verse 18. Which says, "What then, notwithstanding every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is preached, and I therein do rejoice, yea, and will rejoice." And trust me, I'm looking at the camera. You may not think I'm looking at the camera, but I'm looking at the camera now. But when I bow my head a little bit, I'm looking down at the book to read. So this verse seems to conflict with warnings about false teachers. Also in 2 Peter 2:1 and another gospel, Galatians 1:6-9. And the key is identifying what Paul is allowing on one hand and condemning on the other. So some teachers of his day, probably both in Philippi and Rome, appear to be taking advantage of Paul's imprisonment to enhance their own reputations. So indeed, some were trying, through their public preaching, to add affliction to his bonds, Philippians 1:16. And even though some with ungodly motives stood out among those preaching of goodwill, Paul was able to rejoice that Christ is preached, today's text, by both categories, and therein is the source of the power of God unto salvation. Romans 1:16. And that today's text is the beginning verse we begin with, Philippians 1:18. So the stern denunciation of another gospel in Galatians 1:6 exposes the untruth of all hybrid messages, whether human or angelic, that would attempt to preach anything other than Christ and Him crucified. 1 Corinthians 2:2. So here's the message for us. Take a listen at this. Take a close listen at this. When the full gospel of Christ's death, burial, and resurrection, according to the Scriptures, is preached, 1 Corinthians 15:1-4, by whatever means and even under sometimes questionable motives, the good news is cause for rejoicing. And it is the gospel that has the power, not the messenger. Once again, it is the gospel that has the power, not the messenger. But however, when some people attempt to change the gospel to make it seem more attractive to those who wish to continue in sin, or change its message to allow for human works, we are to see some such preachers as dangerous and under condemnation. And lastly, may God keep us from both mistakes. Pretty fast one today for today's message. I flew right through that one, and it's not even 5 minutes into the video yet. I'm just now getting 4 minutes. Wow. Sometimes I have short ones, sometimes I have parts where I talk. But that's all I have for this. I know I zoom right through it, but sometimes I get talking on a certain part and I can stretch it out, and sometimes I can't. It just zooms right through and then everything. But that was it for the last day of March. Tomorrow is Thursday, April the 1st. Some may say it's April Fool's Day, but you better watch out. You don't want to get fooled. And some say, and I've seen some things saying April Fool's Day's been canceled, because we're already being fooled ever since what's-his-face took office. We are being fooled every which way we turn. Maybe, maybe not. But if the other person was still in office, we wouldn't be like this. We wouldn't be like this. Everything would be a lot better than what it is now. You could see what the fool was doing to us. And I'm not naming names, but you know who I'm talking about. Those stupid, idiotic Democrats. All of them are fooling us. Every one of them have been fooling us since January. And they fooled us ever since November, when that catastrophe happened with the voting. So that's all I got to say about that. I'm trying to stretch the video out a little bit, but for Thursday, April 1st, it will be video number 311. So now we're not going to be on the right number. And when I say the video, the last number will be the same day, the number of the day. So it's April 1st, and it'll be video 311. So, but we're going to be talking about the earth is the Lord's for your Maundy Thursday, or Bloody Thursday is what it comes out to be. It's an actual title for that day. And then we have Friday's Good Friday, and then Easter is Sunday. So it's also called Resurrection morning. Happy Resurrection Day, or whatever you want to call it. And then there's a saying you say on that day when you're in church services. The pastor will say, "Happy Resurrection Day. He is risen." And then the congregation goes, "Risen indeed. He is risen. Risen indeed." And you'll hear me say that on Sunday. He is risen. Risen indeed before I close out. But we're going to be doing the earth is the Lord's tomorrow. So I'll be getting that in just a few minutes. Thank you for watching. Hope you come back and watch that tomorrow for your first day of April. And maybe 3 weeks from today, Sunday, I will no longer be in the 30s. I will move on into the next decade of my life, and hopefully I will be where I want to be when that happens. So stay tuned for that. So, with that said, I love you and appreciate you. Keep on keeping on and trusting God, and He'll keep you safe. And until then, peace out. Until tomorrow, everybody. Goodbye. God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Have a wonderful rest of your Holy Week. And I'll see you then. Goodbye.